In the lavish dining room of the Morgan family mansion, everything looked perfect, except for the tension that filled the air. Lucas Morgan, a young heir to a thriving tech empire, sat at the head of the long table, barely touching his dinner. Across from him, his parents, Arthur and Margaret, exchanged knowing glances before Arthur finally broke the silence. "Lucas," his father began, his voice firm and authoritative, "it's time for you to take responsibility for the future of this family." Lucas frowned, already sensing where this conversation was heading. "And what exactly does that mean?" he asked, his tone edged with frustration. Margaret, always composed, forced a smile. "It means we've arranged for you to marry someone who will solidify our company's future. Her name is Natalia Petrova, the daughter of the largest oil tycoon in France. This union will ensure the stability of our business." Lucas froze. "Marry someone I've never met?" His voice was laced with disbelief. "She's 45, Lucas," Margaret added, "but she's intelligent, sophisticated, and perfect for this family." Lucas stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "This is insane. You're asking me to trade my life, my happiness, for a business deal." Arthur's tone turned cold. "If you don't accept this, you'll lose everything. Your inheritance, your position in the company. Think carefully." Lucas had already made up his mind. He stormed out of the dining room, his heart pounding with anger and desperation, feeling like the walls of his perfect life were closing in. That night, as he packed a bag and grabbed his car keys, he paused for a moment, staring at the family portrait in the hallway. The weight of their expectations felt suffocating, but he knew he couldn't stay. With a deep breath, he stepped outside, leaving behind the only world he had ever known and driving into the unknown, ready to reclaim his life. Lucas drove through the night, leaving behind the noise and relentless pressures of his family life. He had no clear destination, letting the road take him somewhere quieter, somewhere he could finally think about what his future should look like. As the sun began to rise, Lucas realized he had arrived in Seabreeze, a small coastal town he had visited as a child. It was a place etched in his memory as a sanctuary of carefree summer days and ocean breezes. Seabreeze was serene, with winding streets and rustic wooden houses. The salty air from the ocean weaved through the town, carrying with it a sense of calm and simplicity that Lucas hadn't felt in years. He stopped his car in front of a small hotel called the Harbor Inn. Its weathered wooden sign and a garden full of wildflowers made it look like a place untouched by time. Lucas stepped inside, rented a room, and decided that this would be his refuge, at least for a while. On his first morning in Seabreeze, Lucas walked to the beach, letting his feet sink into the soft sand. The gentle crashing of the waves seemed to soothe his restless heart, washing away the stress that had weighed him down for so long. As the early morning sunlight danced on the water, Lucas felt for the first time that he might have found a place where he could truly begin again. After spending the morning exploring the beach, Lucas felt the need for a strong cup of coffee. Wandering through the quiet streets of Seabreeze, he came across a small cafe named Seaside Cafe. Its weathered wooden sign and simple outdoor seating gave it a welcoming charm. Stepping inside, Lucas was immediately drawn in by the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the sweet scent of what he guessed was apple pie. The cafe was modest yet cozy, with shelves of old books and vintage photographs lining the walls. Behind the counter stood a young woman, her hair tied up in a messy bun and her apron dusted with flour. She smiled warmly as she helped the customers. "Good morning," the woman greeted as Lucas approached the counter. "What can I get for you? We've got the best coffee in town, or at least that's what Mr. Bill over there says every morning." She nodded toward an older man by the window, who raised his mug in confirmation. For the first time in days, Lucas smiled. "Well, I'll trust Mr. Bill. A coffee, please." As she prepared his drink, Lucas took in the cafe's atmosphere. The locals seemed to know her well, calling her by name, Lily. She greeted everyone with genuine ease, her warmth creating a sense of belonging Lucas hadn't felt in a long time. When Lily handed him the coffee, she tilted her head slightly, curious. "You're not from around here, are you?" "I usually recognize every face that walks through that door." "No," Lucas replied slowly, "just passing through. I needed some time to think." Lily smiled knowingly. "Seabreeze is good for that. Things are simpler here." Lucas nodded, taking the coffee to a nearby table. He wasn't sure why, but in just a few minutes, he felt lighter, like the weight he'd been carrying had eased, even if just a little, thanks to the kind stranger behind the counter. Lucas quickly became a regular at Seaside Cafe, finding comfort in the warm atmosphere and the conversations he shared with Lily. At first, their exchanges were light and casual, but over time they began to open up to each other about their lives. One morning, as Lily wiped down the counter, Lucas asked, "Have you worked here long?" "A few years now," Lily replied, glancing out the window. "It's not where I thought I'd be, but it's where I need to be right now." Lucas caught the hint of sadness in her voice. "Where did you think you'd be?" Lily smiled wistfully. "I used to dream of being an artist. I loved painting, drawing, but after my parents passed away, everything changed. My little brother Ethan was only 10 at the time. I had to put everything aside to take care of him." Lucas nodded quietly, feeling the weight of her words. "That's a lot to take on. You're stronger than most people I know." "It's not about strength," Lily said softly. "It's just what had to be done." Hearing her story made it easier for Lucas to open up. He began sharing his own struggles, the constant pressure from his family, the high expectations they placed on him, and the arranged marriage to a woman 18 years his senior, a complete stranger. "I can't live my life just to meet someone else's expectations," he admitted, his voice heavy. Lily looked at him with understanding. "I know what that feels like. Sometimes you have to choose between what others want and what you truly need." Their conversations grew deeper with each passing day. Lucas realized that Lily wasn't just strong, she was someone who understood his feelings better than anyone else ever had. One evening, as Lucas helped Lily clean up after closing, her younger brother Ethan was busy with his homework at a nearby table. "What do you do in the city?" Ethan asked, his curious eyes fixed on Lucas. Lucas hesitated, not wanting to reveal too much. "I used to work for my family, but I'm taking a break right now." Sensing his discomfort, Lily stepped in with a smile. "Ethan, why don't you help me clean the kitchen?" Once Ethan was out of earshot, Lily turned to Lucas. "You don't have to say anything you're not ready to share. I get it." Lucas felt a wave of relief. He wasn't ready to tell her everything yet, but he knew he'd found someone he could trust. Lucas and Lily had grown closer over time, sharing their thoughts and struggles. But they both knew that running away from reality wasn't a permanent solution. Lucas, in particular, felt the weight of his family's expectations bearing down on him. One afternoon, Lucas received a text from his father, Arthur. The message was brief but heavy. "You have 1 week to come back. If you don't, you'll lose everything. Your inheritance, your position, and all family support." Lucas stared at his phone, feeling as though the walls were closing in. That evening, he went to the Seaside Cafe to find Lily. They walked along the beach, where Lucas opened up about the ultimatum. "If I don't go back and agree to the arranged marriage, they'll cut me off completely. No company, no money, nothing." Lily stopped walking and turned to him, her eyes filled with understanding. "So, what are you going to do?" Lucas gazed out at the ocean for a long moment before meeting her eyes. "I can't go back. I can't spend my life trying to please everyone else. Even if I lose everything, I'd rather start over on my own terms." Lily nodded quietly, sensing the determination in his voice. "That's a tough decision, but it's yours, and it's brave." Her words gave Lucas a renewed sense of strength. "What about you?" he asked. Lily gave a soft smile. "I've faced plenty of challenges before, but if you're willing to give up everything to find yourself, then no one should stop you." Under the moonlight, they sat together on the beach, sharing a quiet understanding. They both knew they were standing at a crossroads, and the choices they made now would shape the rest of their lives. Under the soft glow of the moon, its silver light dancing on the waves, Lucas and Lily sat side by side on the sand, sharing their deepest thoughts. Without words, they both seemed to understand the pain and burdens each carried. Lucas turned to Lily, his gaze fixed on her eyes, where the moonlight sparkled like stars. For the first time, he felt as though he had found a safe haven, someone who truly saw him for who he was. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. "Thank you for listening." Lily smiled softly, placing her hand gently over his. "Sometimes we don't need words, Just knowing someone is there is enough. In that moment, Lucas leaned closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "I've never met anyone like you, Lily," he said, his voice barely audible. Lily felt the warmth radiating from Lucas, her heart beating faster as if it already knew what was about to happen. "Then let's make this moment ours," she whispered, her eyes fluttering shut. Lucas closed the distance between them, and their lips met in a kiss that was deep, tender, and filled with unspoken emotions. The kiss wasn't just physical. It was a connection of two souls, both wounded yet finding solace in one another. The waves crashed gently against the shore, echoing the rhythm of their hearts. Each wave seemed to whisper in harmony with their growing joy. That night, under a sky full of stars, Lucas and Lily came together, not just in words, but in the intimacy of their bodies. The beach became the silent witness to a love that needed no promises, only the truth of the moment. As the first rays of sunlight broke over the sea breeze shore, Lucas and Lily woke up beside each other, filled with a mixture of emotions. They knew life wouldn't be easy, but it was the beginning of something new, a future they were ready to build together. Lucas spent days reflecting on what he could do to start over. He thought about the peaceful moments he had experienced at Seaside Cafe, where the cozy atmosphere had helped him get through his first days in Seabreeze. That memory sparked an idea. One evening, as they sat together on the beach, Lucas turned to Lily. "I want to open a cafe," he said, his eyes lighting up with excitement. "But not just any cafe. An art cafe, a space where people can come for coffee, see artwork, and maybe even find inspiration." Lily looked at him, surprised but supportive. "That's an amazing idea, and if you need me, I'll be there with you." Lucas smiled, feeling a sense of relief. "I don't just need you, Lily. I want you to help me build this. Your talent and passion will make it something truly special." With the savings he had left, Lucas began renovating a small building near the shore, transforming it into Horizon Cafe, an art cafe where local artists could display their work. Lily took charge of designing the space and started teaching art classes in a cozy corner of the cafe. The people of Seabreeze quickly embraced the idea, and the cafe became a hub of creativity and connection in the town. Lucas and Lily found not just a new purpose, but also a place where they truly felt they belonged. Horizon Cafe quickly became the heart of Seabreeze, a gathering place for the community to enjoy coffee and admire inspiring artwork. Lucas and Lily worked side by side, turning the cafe into not just a business but a reflection of their shared passion and dreams. One evening after the cafe had closed, Lucas led Lily on a walk along the moonlit beach. The gentle sound of the waves provided the perfect soundtrack to the moment. Lucas stopped and turned to face Lily, his eyes filled with sincerity. "Lily," he began, his voice slightly trembling, "when I came to Seabreeze, I was running away. I didn't know what I was looking for. But then I found you. You didn't just save me from my old life. You helped me discover who I really am." Lucas knelt down, his hands trembling slightly as he pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simple yet meaningful ring, a symbol of everything he wanted to build with Lily. His voice was filled with both nervousness and certainty as he said, "Lily, when I came to Seabreeze, I was lost. You gave me more than a place to belong. You gave me hope, strength, and love. I can't imagine this life without you by my side. Will you marry me?" Lily gasped, tears sparkling in her eyes under the moonlight. "Yes, Lucas, yes, I will." Under the starry sky they embraced, knowing their love would be the foundation for everything they would build together. The next morning, the sunlight bathed the Seabreeze shore in a warm golden glow, as if the universe itself had paused to celebrate Lucas and Lily's love. They had decided not to wait any longer. Their love didn't need grand gestures or extravagant planning, only the sound of the waves, the breeze carrying the scent of wildflowers, and the smiles of the people who mattered most. The soft hum of the ocean provided the perfect background as Lucas and Lily exchanged their vows. It was simple, yet every word carried the weight of their journey, their struggles, and their love. The small Seabreeze community quickly came together to help. Wildflowers were picked from the nearby hills, wooden chairs were brought out from the cafe, and a simple arch was built with branches, decorated with white ribbons. It was modest, but brimming with love. As Lily walked down the sandy aisle in her simple white dress, Lucas couldn't take his eyes off her. His heart skipped a beat as she smiled at him, the gentle breeze playing with her hair, making the moment feel absolutely magical. They held hands and exchanged their vows, their voices steady with emotion. From this day forward, we will build a life full of love and hope together. The ceremony ended with claps, cheers, and joyful laughter. That afternoon, Lucas and Lily returned to Horizon Cafe with their friends and neighbors for a small, intimate reception. The cafe was warm and inviting, with simple wooden tables pushed together and covered with white linens. Wildflowers were arranged in small glass jars, adding a touch of beauty to the cozy atmosphere. The townsfolk brought homemade dishes, apple pies, freshly baked bread, and a small wedding cake that was humble but meaningful. Soft music played from an old speaker, filling the space with a serene and joyful melody. Lucas raised his glass, looking around at the smiling faces of the people who had become their family. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "not just for helping us celebrate today, but for welcoming us into this community and making us feel at home." Lily smiled, her eyes glistening as she looked at Lucas. "And thank you," she whispered softly, just for him to hear, "for believing in love and believing in us." As the sun began to set, Lucas and Lily danced together under the golden sky, laughter and joy radiating through the cafe. The celebration was small, but it was perfect, a true reflection of the life they were building together.